Welcome to this week's edition of Ask GMBN. It's that time where you guys can leave us questions in the comments section down below, or even send them in. We'll try our very best to answer them.
Yeah, you can send them to ask@gmbn.com or leave them down below, like Scott said. Blake Shimansk, first question. I'm undecided whether or not to upgrade to a carbon enduro bike. When would you recommend carbon over alloy?
That's a good question. Carbon is definitely good. You hear a lot of people have mixed opinions of it. Some people saying that it's weak, it can get damaged really easily, but you do have the big thing of strength versus weight.
I guess they're slightly more susceptible to getting damaged if they fall on a rock or something like that. Not a lot though, I've never damaged a carbon frame like that, but they are expensive.
Yeah.
So they're lighter.
Depends if you've got the coin.
That is it, all high-end bikes are carbon, really. Aidan Cougar, do pro mechanics live off their salary too? We talked about riders' salaries last week. There's quite a few people who do live off their salaries.
I'd probably say not that many though. There's maybe, what, 40% of them that travel all year round with a rider doing testing, setup, suspension tuning, doing all the works,
Yeah.
but the rest of them, they probably work in a bike shop part-time or distributors, something like that.
Yeah, I would say that. So some of the more, the better riders, they'll have the mechanics who maybe are full-time. So I know the Athertons, they do have a couple of full-time mechanics who work on their practice bikes throughout the winter, but that's pretty unusual, I'd say.
Yeah.
WT0708, is it worth to convert to tubeless on a bike that is mostly used riding street?
We were having a little discussion about this, weren't we?
Yeah.
In a bit, we couldn't really decide, because when you're riding a street, you tend to have really hard tyre pressures up towards 40 psi, even 60 psi.
Yeah.
And the benefits of tubeless almost outweighs itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I would probably just stick with tubes. I guess it's simpler. It's probably cheaper actually just to chuck a tube in there than it is to convert to tubeless. But you should check out our video on how to set your tyre pressure.
It's not just about traction, obviously rolling resistance comes into it. And so to a certain extent, if you've got slightly more pressure in your tyre, then the tyre's going to roll a little bit better. Up to a point obviously, because if it gets too hard, then that's not true at all. But personally, I would rather run a slightly higher volume tyre with less tread, so it rolls better, and then have a little bit less pressure in. So actually, I would run probably about 25 psi, because I suspect I'm significantly less aggressive when I ride. But if I'm completely honest, the pressure gauge on my track pump at home broke, and so for 2 years, I just pressed the tyre.
Next question comes from Joey Fallon. Does skiing help mountain biking? Has GMBN ever gone skiing?
I've been skiing, have you?
I've been skiing.
I guess skiing and mountain biking kind of similar in the sense that you're both going in the same direction, whereas you compare that to snowboarding.
Yeah, true.
Offset.
I'd wait for snowboarding though, to be fair.
But you've got all your coordination, your balance, and it's a workout for your legs.
Leg strength. I have talked about skiing when I coach, talk about using the edge of the skis almost like cornering, so you do that with the outside foot, but I guess so it does, a little bit, yeah. Dana J. Bardwaj, also, when you guys film outside your country, do you guys ever use rentals or take your own bikes?
Don't be gentle, it's a rental. No, we take our own bikes.
And occasionally we've borrowed bikes from like people like Canyon if we've gone to events and they're there, but yeah, generally we take the bikes that we ride in the rest of the videos. Tim Hammond, he's recently moved from Somerset to Mid Wales, doesn't know the area, doesn't know where to ride. Is there such a thing as an off-road sat-nav to help him find trails to ride?
I guess you're talking about Strava.
Yeah, we use Strava or Pink Bike's Trailforks app. They're really good for showing you the trails where you are.
Trailforks is absolutely awesome. I used it a lot when I was in Canada and found some of the best trails I've ever ridden, so I definitely recommend checking that one out. It's still building and growing in the UK.
Yep. Also, have a look at our video on how to find new trails. You can also take advantage of loads of technology to give you a helping hand and find cool new trails. Apps like Strava and Garmin Connect are route mapping tools that people use to map exactly where they've been riding. So you can use those to actually have a look, search the areas you want to ride, and the busiest segments are often the best riding spots. Use the maps to zoom in on the area and you can have a look at the course that people are riding. Wian Vanderberg asks, if my rim is bent, does it have an effect on my riding and how can it be fixed?
Well, I guess the first thing you got to say is you're probably not going to be going in a straight line if your rim's bent.
Yeah, I've done it where if it's bent bad enough, you'll actually lose a bit of grip. So if you're cornering hard, your wheels and your tyres doing this, then it's not brilliant.
Plus, if it's bent, it's probably on the way out. The wheel's going to be out of true, and if you take another big hit to that wheel, you could just fold and Ouch.
So potentially they can be fixed. It depends how bad it is. Sort of anything less than, I don't know, 5 mil, you can probably work back out using the spokes to tension, pull that rim straight. But yeah, any worse than that, you're going to struggle. Nickel is an avid mountain biker and a huge follower of your YouTube channel. Thanks. Sometimes I travel for work and always want to take my mountain bike with me in case I get time to ride, but I've always wondered how to pack a bike for a flight.
Well, that's a good one because we've actually got a video on this, haven't we? But the main thing is just be really careful, especially with the rear end, the forks, where the handlebars are going to go. Just use a lot of padding, but you should check out our video on how to do this.
Flying with your pride and joy can be really daunting. The last thing you want to do is turn up at your destination and find that your bike is damaged or broken. So here I'm going to show you how you can take relevant precautions to pack your bike correctly and protect it from any damage.
Are you ready for this?
I am.
It's a quick fire round. Super Dope Freshness San. That's not a very quick name to read. I want to ask, is it possible to add a downhill fork to my giant stance?
Anything is possible, but to put a downhill fork on your stance, that's a short travel bike. Probably not advisable. That head tube might rip out.
Yeah. Will Harley, is it normal to have a little movement side to side on my mechanical dropper seat post?
Yeah, definitely. Pretty much every mechanical dropper seat post that I've ever had has just got a tiny little bit of play. There's nothing to worry about.
And here I'm looking at a Chinese name, sorry I can't pronounce that. Can I clean my drivetrain with disc brake cleaner?
Not a problem. It's great degreaser, but just make sure that you lube up correctly afterwards.
Yep. And dry it out, I'd say, because that will get rid of any oil that's on there. Moto Brown, does it matter what cog you leave your bike in?
Yeah, there's various rumours about this actually. Some people say you should have it right at the bottom of the cassette, but
I don't think so. Your rear mech's got a pretty strong spring in there. How long are you can keep that rear mech? If you're going to keep it for 30 years, it might make a difference. Other than that,
yeah.
I don't think so. I'm sure you'll let me know if I'm wrong.
Okay, so it is time for Correct Me If I'm Wrong, and you guys have been sending in videos to Ask GMBN, and we're going to take a look and try and correct your technique and get you faster out on the trails.
Yeah, first one is a good one. Comes from Chris in Germany, and he's trying a backflip onto an airbag. So take a look at this. He wanted some tips because it doesn't quite go right. He sort of lands upside down. Not sure you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to land on your wheels.
Full suspension bike as well. Respect.
Tips, Scott?
I might pass this one over to you. I don't think I can do a backflip.
Well, it's been a long time since I've done one, but you have to pull hard on that, obviously. If you're only getting halfway around, it's basically a case of almost doing a bigger manual off the takeoff. So you hit takeoff, lean back, look as well, it makes a big difference, and just pull harder, basically. Keep doing it on an airbag. I did it into a swimming pool to begin with, and just until you can do it, land with your wheels first, then don't go on to do it. But
got that.
Good effort. Next time you're practicing them.
Yeah.
Okay, next video comes from Tommy in Tasmania.
Another jumping video.
I've seen a few videos from Tasmania recently.
Oh, nice trails.
Boom.
Lucky.
Coming up a bit short on that. It's a pretty big jump actually, pretty big tabletop. So let's take a look in slow-mo. Basically, you gotta go faster. If you can't make speed, that's a pretty good hop other than going nose down. So on your hop, make sure you're trying to match the front to the back wheel. What do you reckon, Scott?
Yeah, I think that was pretty good. A few more pedal strokes, maybe out that berm. You should also think about your cornering technique so you can rail both the berms, carry more speed into it, then you might not even have to pedal. Push into that takeoff and really maximise getting your air.
But good effort, Tommy. That's it for this week's Ask GMBN. If you click over here somewhere, that'll take you through to a video I did called How to Build Jumping Confidence.
And if you click just up there, you're going to get to the big 5 ride that I did with Brendan Fairclough. Loads of jumps, loads of berms, and loads of fun.
Yeah, looked pretty good that. I need to go there. Click on the GMBN logo to subscribe to the channel. Totally free.
Yeah, you get a great video every single day of the week.
Give us a thumb up if you enjoyed Ask GMBN this week.